That looks interesting. Like I have floof on the side of my head. Oof. I can't with my hair today, y'all. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are seeing my face for the first time, hi, my name is Maya and I like to talk about books here on the internet. It happened, I missed an upload date, and that means in the very near future, you guys are getting a double upload day. There was a reason for that, by the way. I am doing Vlogmas on my lifestyle channel. If you guys didn't know, I do have like a vlogging channel. So if you guys want to follow me there just to see my life as it happens, that's where you can see it. I'll leave it linked down below if I remember. Coffee is getting me through these days, man. Y'all are here for a book review, right? I have given you a lot of videos this month. None of them have showcased anything that I have read this month here in December, and we're gonna remedy that today. So, I've read Christmas at Rosie Hopkins Sweetshop by Jenna Colgan. I had a fun time. In this book, we follow along multiple POVs of the people in a small, cozy, tiny town in the middle of nowhere in Derbyshire Hills. I don't know where that is logistically. If any of y'all want to tell me about that in the comment section down below, feel free to do so. But essentially, we are following along on these people's lives in a tiny town. Everybody knows everybody, and there's just a line of streets. In fact, I think there is an image. Oh, there it is. I just skipped. This is the town, but you have a singular main street. That's how tiny this town is. In fact, I want to show you guys where the school is because this is important to the story. Here's the school, right there. And it's right next to the main drag. This is going to be important later, so just follow me with that. It's a very, very tiny town. Everybody knows everybody, and so they're all very connected to each other. And how this story reads is basically living out daily life leading up to Christmas. So we get introduced to the townsfolk, not all of them, but a lot of them, most of them. And we find out that Rosie is the sweet shop owner. She took over the sweet shop for her great aunt Lillian, who is now in a home because she needed more help and care. And Rosie took over the sweet shop. She met her now boyfriend Steven, and she and him got together. He was a war vet. He was in, I believe it was in Africa somewhere, and he witnessed a bombing, was a part of it. He now has an injury that left him with needing to walk with a cane. They are together. They're living in Lillian's old house right next to the sweet shop because Steven does not want to live with his mother and lived in home, which is a very wealthy, very vast building. That is also important. The mother doesn't seem to approve of their relationship, says as much, but, you know, is also like around all the time, gifting them with a dog, you know, so mixed signals there, just a tiny bit. And then there are other townspeople that we get introduced to. We get introduced to Tina, who helps Rosie in the sweet shop. And she is one of those people who I would think is very inclined to having a shopping addiction. You know, always buying something, always spicing up the place. She has 2 little kids. She's in a relationship with her boyfriend who seems to love the kids like his own. And, you know, they're thinking about getting engaged and all of this. And so she's helping Rosie in the sweet shop as her job to help pay for the kids and for their schooling. And she wants to spice up the place a little bit, or spruce up the place a little bit. There we go. That's the right word. Spruce up the place a little bit. Puts in an Amazon order and is like, yeah, I already ordered it for you. It's all good. I just wanted to get the okay. And Rosie just fondly rolls her eyes, you know, in that way that you do that is like, but I love you, so it's fine. She's just like, but wait, isn't a snowstorm coming and like the roads are closed and everything? And Tina's just like, yeah, but they'll bring it for me. Because apparently the woman has connections. I don't know what connections she be having, but apparently they're good. And that's also important to the story, so keep that in mind. And then we see other people. We see the local doctor. We know his story a little bit. Like, he's apparently been dating people outside of the little town, but he stays in the little town because he likes it here. Who else do we get? We get this other guy who had an issue with overeating, and Rosie being an ex-nurse, actually, who worked, I want to say who worked in like emergency room and some other location that's very high stress situation. So from working there to now working in the Sweetshop because Lillian needed her help and her care, she also took it upon herself to help the other people in the town as well. She allows him to buy stuff from the Sweetshop, but she's just like, you have a limit. I am not selling you past this limit. And so because of that, he has been able to lose significant amounts of weight for his health, which is awesome because like it did affect his health, but now it's not so much anymore. And you know, he's still like it, you know, and it's so cute, that interaction. Like, I know like what it sounds just like coming out of my mouth. It sounds like, why are you worried about weight? She's not. She's worried about his health and everything because he did have health problems regarding that, and not eating as much sweets as he was helping with those health problems, like by a ton. And so that was that. Also, I don't know when this book was written, so that probably could also be a thing as well, a factor in that. We are introduced to, oh my goodness, we are introduced to Lillian, her great aunt, queen. We stan her, we love her. We also get introduced to, oh my goodness, Ida. Ida is it, and that's also important to the story. Her and Lillian have an interesting past. There was a boy. Both of them loved him, by the way. He loved Lillian. He married Ida. But they both loved him. And now there's a whole feud and a whole jealousy thing going on there, but they still communicate with each other. They're still very much like, I would say, friends in old age, because they're in the same home and they kind of have this feud going on with each other, but it's to the point where it's like, it's all in fondness and in some ways. And I think it's because, yes, there's still some hurt feelings there. There's a little bit of jealousy there. But at the end of the day, both of them lost this person, or they think they lost this person that was very important to them in the war. So it was kind of like a truce of sorts where they kind of just, you know, they didn't lay it aside because that's kind of what they communicate on, but I guess their interactions help each other to maintain, you know, a sort of zest for life that can sometimes look like it can be lost, especially in a place like a home. You know, their family always coming to visit and always like being around and inviting them to things also is helpful in that situation. And I think that brings about a bigger conversation of, you know, the older generation feeling like maybe they are just being put in places and not having people come and talk to them, or, you know, having that banter back and forth between each other as if they were children again, or even young adults, and just like getting that zest for life back again. There is that kind of underlying conversation there that does happen when we see Rosie going to visit Lillian, and kind of her bringing up that conversation and kind of like sharing her life circumstances versus that of the other patients there. And I think that's a very important conversation, and I'm so glad that that was brought up. Speaking of, we're also introduced to Edward and his father, and kind of their dynamic as they're travelers, and as they're going through this town, the father just kind of like freaks out when he sees Lillian shop, and the son doesn't know what to do because apparently the father unfortunately has a version of dementia, and unfortunately, in his condition, it's only gonna get worse because they didn't catch it right away, because he is a war vet. And, you know, there's a lot about not to say that all war vets are like this, but he was a war vet. So there was a lot of things that he didn't talk about with his kids. Okay. And then on top of that, there wasn't a lot of things that he talked about just in life at all. Like, he didn't really talk about his feelings or his emotions much. He expressed love and gratitude and joy in the presence of his kids, but he never would say anything if he was having a bad day. He would never say anything if he was hurting. He would just never say anything. And so because of that nature, it took them a while to catch on to the fact that there is more behind the silence. And then by that point, he was a lot farther in. And Edward, he took care of his father. And he felt it was his duty to take care of his father, but not just his duty, he wanted to. Like, he felt guilty because he didn't see the signs prior to this. Like, he thought that he and his dad had a good relationship. And, you know, he knew how his father was, but he thought, you know, there's just like no way that if it was this bad, like, something wouldn't have been said, but he was wrong. And so he's carrying those feelings of guilt as well. And so, you know, he took a trip with him, and then they're going through this tiny town, and the father just freaks out at this shop that belonged to Lillian. Very important. The son is just like, okay, let's go inside, you know, maybe that'll calm you down or whatever. Brings the father inside, and he just looks like at peace and happy. And the son is so confused. He's just like, what is going on? So Rosie, being an ex-nurse, is kind of just like, has he been here before? Like, does he know this place? The son is just like, no, he's never been here before. He doesn't know this place. And he's like, pretty adamant, like, no, I know my father. He's never come here in his life, you know, and gives a little bit of the backstory and the history there. And Rosie's kind of just like, huh. Edward's like, huh. And the other local doctor is like, huh. And meanwhile, the dad is just like so at peace and so content. Then the doctor takes the son aside and is kind of just like, listen, I know you feel like this is your duty and this is your obligation, but I also think that you should probably consider, for his good, getting someone who could be there, who could help him, who could take care of him 24/7, because the son was taking care of him, but he was at work. The wife probably was the one staying with him. And like, you know, it's hard dealing with someone who has dementia. It's so hard. Like, I used to work at an older people's home, and I would see people with dementia. And I would see this one lady every single time I came in. She would come up to the front desk and she would ask about her kids. And she would ask if they were coming today. And I don't know if it was because the kids just didn't come, or if she forgot who they were, or it's possible that they were no longer living who she was asking for, which was even sadder. She would ask about that, and every time they were like, no. And the way that they worded it too, like, I don't know if it's just the way that you word it with everybody, but specifically, like, it was only in this instance. So I was not wondering if it was like someone who had passed on or something like that. It was heartbreaking to watch. There was this one time where she came to ask me, and I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I use the same words and everything like that, because you're just not prepared for people to come up to you and ask you stuff like that. Like, there is no way to prepare for that experience. And that was me with someone I did not know. I could not imagine if it was my mom or my dad or any close family member or friend, like, that would break my heart, honestly, because my heart was broken for someone I did not know. I can only imagine if it was someone closer. And not to say that their souls are any less to me. It just means, like, I don't know you like that for it to be on that level of earth shattering, because there's heartbreaking and it's just like, what can you do? And then there's like the earth shattering of, this person knew me at one point and now they don't. Like, I don't have that. So therefore, there is a level of intimacy difference, right? And so that's kind of what was happening in this scene and in this setup. And I appreciate the author for like taking it there. When the doctor pulled the son aside and he was just like, listen, I know you're doing the best that you can, but truly, I think he needs help now. And he's at that stage where you need someone who knows what they're doing, who's trained in this. Like, you can still keep him at your house, fine, but you need someone there who's trained for this type of thing, because it's only gonna get worse. And the son was like, yeah, I know, but he's my dad, you know, what can you do? And the doctor was like, I do understand that, but you do need to think about what's gonna be best for him as well. And he will need more care than you have been able to provide at this moment. So either you need to work the situation to be able to give him that care, or give the care over to someone else and just be there for him as much as you possibly can in the way that he is asking or requesting for. And the son agrees to that. This part is just tragic. On the way back to going to the house, Edward and his father, and I'm gonna say his father because that's not, we'll get there. Edward and his father were driving back home. There was a semi going to deliver a package. Remember that package I said that Tina said that she was gonna be getting from Amazon? That very one. And apparently, you know, there is a reason certain drivers should not be out on the road. People did not listen. I don't know what kind of strings this woman had, but the person was just like, you're delivering that and you're getting extra money, so do it. The car has issues in this weather. And the father, on the way out of the town, was kind of freaking out a little bit. Like, I swear I just recently read the situation and I'm still kind of confused, because like something was going on with the father that was distracting the son who was driving. And then there was something happening with the vehicle of the driver of the semi, and both were going like this, one-way lane, country road, mind you. So it's like, and there are hills and stuff, okay? So tight road, two-way, opposite directions, big semi truck, car that's kind of in my head picturing a little swervy driving, because you know Edward is trying to calm his father down, okay, and also drive at the same time. That's so difficult in not good weather, mind you. So this truck kind of loses it for a second, straightens out, goes up the hill to the tiny town. Now, mind you, remember the map that I showed you? Let me just pull that right back up. School, main road, a vehicle that is not meant to be driving in winter weather, and that had a slight issue with, I don't know what, the clutch brake, I don't know, had an issue. Bam! Mind you, people were in the school. People were in the school. Now, no one got unalived, thankfully, but there were two major injuries, life-threatening injuries. Well, one was life-threatening. The other could have been. It was very painful. A fair bit of minor injuries and trauma, 100% for everybody. So, this is a tiny town. All right, this is a tiny town, and their means of keeping the town afloat basically circulates through the town, from the town to the town, basically, is kind of how that monetary system is structured. Now, there are people like Edward, okay, who drive through that town. So, you know, you could stop at a Sweetshop, you could stop at the local bar and restaurant, have a little drink with your buddies, and then head back on the road. And not recommended. Stay the night and then drive out in the morning, type of thing. So there is that. And like, it's a cozy town vibe, so people would like to, you know, come through and visit on their way to whatever bigger town that they're going to. Yeah, okay. So when a school is demolished, that means the children need to go to the next town over, go to that school. So a place that makes uniforms for the children out of business. Any ability to go to the Sweetshop and take a little stop there before heading to the school, yeah, that's out of the realm of possibility. I'm going to the restaurant directly after, before you head home after a long day. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Any sort of shopping will be done in the major city while you're there with your kids. Everyone else is gonna have to like get jobs outside of the town. So what use is the town? None. Okay. Yeah, so big issue, very, very big issue. If the kids have to leave and the parents have to follow them, there's not going to be enough business for that town for upkeep. So what do? They go to the board and they're just like, we need to get this fixed. We need to get this done now. Well, there's a corrupt person on the board, as there always is, right? And they have been wanting to, like, they've been wanting something to give them an excuse to close down things and just, you know, acclimate to a more city-centered life. Okay, the thing of that is, because of resources and everything that is available to the townspeople, that could ruin townspeople's lives. Not just the shops, but the families. And the kids, like the kids' schooling, it does mention this in the book, the kids' schooling might not be up to par with the other schools simply because they could only afford certain levels of teaching. Or maybe they didn't have certain levels of teaching at all. Or they didn't have the resources to be able to afford things for certain classes or subjects or anything else like that, that other schools may have already had from the get. So there will be areas where their kids are behind. And not necessarily in the necessary academics of it all, but just like in the extracurricular stuff or the side stuff that bigger schools can just afford. Like, there's just things that, and this is coming from someone who came from like a smaller school, there are some things that bigger schools can afford that you as a tiny school just can't. And now I got to see my school building just like grow. And so we kept getting more things. We kept adding more things. We were able to give our students more opportunities, more capabilities of doing other different things because the school was growing. That is kind of like just natural for anything that you start up. So, you know, there would just be things that they may struggle to keep up with or may have to be acclimated towards. Not to mention, closest school hours away. Okay, so what does that do for the parents of the kids that need to get their kids to that hour away school? Well, they move. Funding for the town moves too. So I don't necessarily know what the man on the board was thinking with like not having to spend money on the school. I don't even know if he was really thinking it through, like, if this goes, the entire town goes, and then I am not in it to win it with you know, the townsfolk or anything like that. So then what do? I don't think he was thinking past that, or if he was probably just too arrogant to admit he was wrong or something. I don't even know. So they were trying to get the school to be safe. Meanwhile, they're trying to figure out where do we hold school while they're trying to deal with where the kids are going to school. The corrupt person on the town's board was just like, go send your kids to the other school, hours away. And it's like, sir, there is 10 feet of snow outside my window. You really think that I can take my children 4 hours away on a wet, slippery road where a semi couldn't make it and crash into our building for the next couple of weeks? I think not. Stephen's mother was asked if her estate could be used for purposes of a school, just like a little fill-in for the school for the time being, because there were rooms aplenty in that house that were not being used. She begrudgingly allows it, very begrudgingly, mind you, and for now, the students have a place to learn. Great, okay. Now, how do we convince people of the board to get this school built? They don't. They don't. So they have to come up with a solution. And one of the things that they think of is, okay, there was supposed to be a winter concert. What if we still have the winter concert and the outflow of support from the townspeople will let the people of the board realize just how valuable it is to have a school here? We could maybe make up a case, something like that. So that's what they go for. Yeah, not a lot of people show up. And that's confusing to people because they're at least like not even the full families of these kids. A lot of the men were not there. What is going on? And even Stephen, who was teaching that day and was in charge of this concert, came in right down to the wire in order to prepare to get set up and everything. So yeah, it was kind of bad. Everyone is confused. Everyone is wondering what's going on. They're doing their best to support the kids and, you know, all of their endeavors. And suddenly the door just flies right open. Snow comes in into the entryway. And the men rush in and are just like, did we miss it? And everyone's just like, did you miss what? And they were like, the concert. Did we miss it? They were like, yeah, it just ended. And they were like, oh man, we really wanted to see it, but come on. We got something to show you. Go out into the freezing winter storm. And a Christmas miracle. The school building is now standing intact and repaired. The men of that town decided to come together and fix the school themselves. If the board wasn't going to approve the money to do it, they were going to do it. While all of that was going down, there was a little bit of a commotion, shall we say, with the home. One of their residents left the building that the concert was in because there was a group of people that came from the home. Lillian, Ida, and Edward's father were three of them. Edward's father walks out into the winter without a jacket, without a coat, without nothing. Lillian knows exactly where this man is. She says, take me to this location. Her, Rosie, the doctor, go to this location. They find him there. And he is very coherent. He knows exactly who everyone is, what happened. Edward is kind of freaking out. He's just like, no, but you're my dad. You were never here. You never knew any of these people. What is going on? Like, you did not get your memory back. What is happening? And he's like, no, listen, I grew up in this town. I knew a lovely lady by the name of Lillian. I loved her and I lost her. And I made a huge mistake. Married Ida. Had a daughter who I never got to see grow up. That was Delia. Edward is shook. Delia just wants to hug her father, and she does. Ida is so confused. Lillian is overjoyed, and everyone else is kind of shook. They're just like, what in the world? What just happened? But unfortunately, because he was out in the snow for as long as he was without proper any type of covering, he only had so long left to live. But the doctor pulled Edward aside and was like, you know, this is the best way he could go. He's very coherent. He has people he loves around him. And it's not going to be as painful. Edward just nods, starts to prepare the will and include Ida and Delia, because now he knows that they exist, and he's like, it's only right that you get some of his will as well. And Lillian gets to be with her love till his dying breath, and there's a memorial service. There is work that still needs to be done. Everyone goes home pretty much. Rosie's family, by the way, has already been here, and there's been some stuff that has gone on and gone down. But I will save that for you guys to read about. But there was some family drama in the background. But after the funeral services and everything, Rosie is talking with Lillian, and Lillian is kind of just like, you know, I am content. That was everything that I ever needed. I am ready to go whenever the good Lord is ready to take me, basically. And Rosie's just like, you are gonna stay here till you are over 90, and that is all. And Lillian just kind of chuckles at her. There is another side piece amidst all of that includes the family drama and everything that I would share, but I want to leave some stuff for the book, so I'm just gonna leave that there, everything tied up in a nice little bow, or most everything. There's still a little present underneath the Christmas tree, and you can feel free to unwrap it at your leisure whenever you so choose, aka read Christmas at Rosie Hopkins Sweetshop whenever you feel so inclined. Let me get to the rating of this book after all of that. I am gonna give it a 4.5. because it was a great read. It was really fun. I just, you know, I could have, if I wasn't teased so much about the prior book, I think it would have just wrapped up really nicely, and I wouldn't have needed any more clarification. I probably would have been just like perfectly fine with everything that was involved. But that was the only negative thing, and I know I'm giving it a minus 0.5 for that, but I mean, it was dang near perfect. For me, it gave all the old Christmassy nostalgic vibes, not like the Hallmark vibes, but like the old nostalgic Christmas, you know, with that small town, everybody knows everybody, holiday spirit is in the air, it's tangible, you can feel it, and you're following that one character that is feeling like they're the only one that's having a time of it, and they realize everyone is having a time with it. But you actually get everyone having a time with it in this book, and so you get to see all of those different POVs, but like everyone is trying to make it good for Christmas because that's what you're supposed to do, I guess. And so, yeah, it's just all of the nostalgia vibes, all of that. Plus, like, great storyline, great written characters. I greatly approve of the timing of the story and the pacing. I think, like, because it is a contemporary, it leads well to have all of those different POVs kind of melding together. They explain each person's thought processes of events without re-explaining the event. It just kind of keeps going with the day, and then you just so seamlessly go into another day, and you're walking through the story with them, and it's so nice. It's so excellent. I love it so much. I love the deeper conversations that they had and that they were willing to go into and explore. I love the deeper kind of emotional elements that we're getting from the characters, and not just all positive. Like, you're getting the positive and the negative. You're getting character growth. You're getting a lot of realizations. You're getting a lot of real feeling, you know, and real emotion. Like, it's not one of those, when you get a realization, it's kind of just like, oh, everything works out. It's like a realization and you're just like, I messed it up. But then also there is a way to get it back to like the happy ending that you wanted, because it's like, okay, now I see, I understand, I need to get through that barrier of communication. And what I love so much is the element of communication in this book. Like, when there is a lack of it, things go wrong. When there is an implementation of it, things go better. That's not necessarily always right. And it's not a picture perfect anything. But it does give you real, raw, true, substantive elements. And I absolutely love it. Absolutely adore it. 10 out of 10 do recommend. 4 out of 5 for the rating. And again, because I got teased way too much. And if that is the only fault that I can find in this book, then that is saying quite a lot. Okay. But yeah, I definitely love this. I enjoyed it. I do think that you should definitely read it as well. It is something that one should read during the Christmas time. And I gotta say, I'm gonna be looking up the first book to this, and we're gonna read it and we're gonna find out what freaking happened, because I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions on the relationship. And that's also why I'm not going to explain like the family drama or Rosie's family coming in, or really very much on Rosie and Steven, because there was so much reference to the other book that I'm like, now I need that other book. Now I need to understand. And because I don't know all of it, I'm not going to like talk about it right now. So yes, that is all for today, though, folks. Thank you guys so much for spending this time with me, and thank you for being the best bookish bestie that ever was, is, or ever will be. I will be seeing you guys sometime soon with the double upload, and don't worry, I'll let you guys know the double is happening when it happens, and the double upload is going to be like morning and evening. Well, late morning, early afternoon, late evening. It won't be stacked. It won't be back to back. I will see you guys then. Have a great rest of your day. See you guys in the next one. Bye.